They did it. They absolutely stuck the landing. Welcome to Bite Size Bunny. My name's Tony, and today we're going to be talking about the latest DC animated film, Watchmen Chapter 2. Now that the full story has been adapted, I can comfortably say that this is a more faithful adaptation of the graphic novel, for better or for worse. While I do think Part 2 is an improvement upon that first film, it does still suffer from some of the same issues I have with Part 1. Despite having around the same runtime as Snyder's adaptation of the material, I do think this version of the story feels a little rushed at times. There are certain scenes and line deliveries here I wish were given more space to breathe, because they are such pivotal moments to the story, but with how they're presented here, they don't quite hit as hard as you would expect. I've also never been a fan of the Black Freighter storyline. I feel like its inclusion in the narrative brings the momentum of that main story to a halt. While I understand its purpose and why it's there, I always feel like it just comes off kind of redundant in the grand scheme of things. I would have preferred if they trimmed out the Black Freighter storyline and used that runtime for the Watchmen story and allow it to have some more breathing room so it doesn't have the pacing issues that make it feel so rushed at times. As far as the ending goes, if you were disappointed with the changes that were made in Snyder's version of Watchmen, you will probably be really happy with what they do here. It is significantly more faithful to the source material. Personally, I actually really like the changes that were made in Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I feel like the ending is way more fitting for the grounded nature of this story. But I will give massive props to Part 2 for using the original ending and doing it in a way that actually works really well in the animated format. I was genuinely impressed that they were able to make it work, because even when I read the comic, despite my love for the graphic novel and it being one of my favorites of all time, it just didn't work for me. I do think my favorite aspect of Watchmen Chapter 2 is how much Night Owl and Silk Spectre's romance and chemistry get to shine here. It is highlighted in such a way that despite having all of this dark, grimy storytelling surrounding it, their relationship really gets to shine through and kind of offer this source of light in the story. I'd also say the performances between Night Owl and Silk Spectre are my favorite in this duology. Chapter 2 also has the benefit of having a lot of my favorite moments from the Watchmen story crammed into it, and I would say for the most part, all of those moments are handled pretty well. The mystery elements unfold in a satisfactory way, the build up to the climax is also really good, and the animation is pretty great. It looks like they took the artwork and pulled it straight out of the comic book, bringing it to life in all of its animated glory. Overall, Watchmen Chapter 2 is a great adaptation. I do have some issues with it, and it's not my preferred version of the story, but I do think any fan of Watchmen should absolutely check this version out. I'm going to be giving Watchmen Chapter 2 an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And what is your favorite version of Watchmen? I'd love to know.